principles of Wing Chun is to make your circles so tight they look like lines, but also to make your lines into circles. So how do we do that? How do we make a circle so tight that it becomes a line? Well, if we look at the arm, even when we chamber and we punch, there is a rotation. If we look at when we punch and how we punch, we look at the line, and that comes from the elbow. The elbow drives through the center of the palm, just like the snake form, where it strikes like a cobra. Think of this as the hood of the cobra. The mouth is actually here. Your force when you punch is actually transmitted here. People focus on knuckles when they should be focusing on where, centering that force here to the bag or to whatever they're hitting, and they send the force into it. So when we think of a line, we think of this, okay? And when we rotate, we're sending a spiral energy of line. Now, how is the rotation done? Well, your shoulders rotate, right? In the form, we do all these different things. But you steer or redirect force, not to the elbow. See my elbow still? To the wrist. And that's why we, in the form, when, if we punch, we're always doing a Wensao, gate hand, circular hand, out. Why? Because when we oppose force, where's the worst place to oppose it? At the end of the line. We'll do this. We don't, if somebody has a pole and they attack you with a pole, you're not going to try to stop it here. That's the worst place to stop it. Second worst is here. The best is here. We always want to be beside the line. The end of the line is the end of the line. We lose. We want to be beside the line to take that force. So there's a softness in our approach in terms of when we make contact. It isn't, people do that. You have to conform to contact. Meaning that every time you do a move, whether it's a Tan Sao, whatever move it is, you're actually going to have a softness so you can conform to that contact. And the reason is that speed multiplies force, mass multiplies force, but surface divides it. It minimizes it. So when you're Tan Sao, your idea is you're actually taking this force, sending it from here to here in a spiral. The arm should go here, right? When you're practicing the dummy, you're practicing redirecting force. So that when somebody throws a punch, you don't have to move very much. Now, we accelerate our movements, we exaggerate them in the forms, but it's really understanding the line, each line. Even in our Kwon Sao, we're actually going, see where that is? We're taking this and sending it here. And that's the first part of the form, where you stand. You're measuring out your stance, right? And you drop, and you sink, like you're sitting down on a stool. This is about the wedge, and this is about where your lines of force are. When you punch, you're actually here and here, along the line of your knee. The first part of that is that you come here and chamber, you're crossing. Right? And there's this and that, and that's part of that. That's when you turn into them. But the idea in reality is about understanding how to control the line, which is, think of it as their forearm, right? So, the weapons in Wing Chun teach us these principles, right? The 6.5 foot pole, right? Which I don't have one. But the pole, to control that, when we chi sao, this is the area we're controlling. This is the end of the pole, not the hand. The hand redirects it subtly. It senses and redirects. But when we chi sao, this is the surface area that we actually use. Like this. Think of it like this. And we're redirecting here. Okay? So when somebody attacks us and we're at the end of the line, that apex, right? Hip to hip. When I punch, this is where the force actually is generated from. If I'm off I can't produce force. I got to be directly in that line. Okay? So by intersecting that, by coming in, I can offset. Poxel, forward poxel. That's to stop the line, to redirect the line. What we want to be, the best place to be is, again, beside the line. Not the end of it, but beside. Not this, this. Then contact becomes control. And that's what we seek, contact as control. So when we block, we're not, if I'm hard on this, it's just going to bounce. And I'm sending the energy. I'm making that contact control. So now I stick. The hard, this is simplification, but the hard Wing Chun is simply your force going out. Right? Just going out. Right? And we just do it simply, feel your whole body engaged. But the soft is actually using the force of others. Ideally, at greater levels, we accept their force. That's the first step of Wing Chun, where if he comes in and punches me, I accept and I use his force before I use my own. I turn it back on him. One of the easiest ways to understand that is if we're smaller, everybody has an advantage and disadvantage. It's called mass. If we're smaller, we use their mass. If you take the knee and you break that structure, their mass becomes a liability. It takes very little force to turn their own weight against them. So when we think about the spine, we want to stand straight. Tilt up just a bit. I'm not leaning back. I'm not hunching. It's just this, so I feel weightless. And the spine ideally stays still while we rotate. It's like a pole. This is the wheel. These are your hips. Think about your hips as kind of not a circle, but and then there's the spine. So where is our center? I want the spine to be straight. This is the spine. This is the hips. We control the wheel here and here. Right? Force here, here. We steer. We change our angle. Framing is square. We always want to start square and go either side. But as they attack, we move them, off-center them, and drive in. And we always send force to here. The dantian is below the navel and it's forward of the spine. That's their center. And eventually you'll be able to feel that. When you send weight back, instead of just pushing, you're actually sending it back. When this moves and this moves back, it's because what your idea is, you're just going to send it here. So when you touch something, or touch somebody, you're literally sending it back to them. You're redirecting their own force back. Again, alongside the line, you take, here's the idea. This represents our hand. Thumb. Right? Thumb is a grip. And the hand. And the blade of the arm is always outward. This is that blade of the arm. Right? Here, that's the blade of the arm. This is where less nerves are. This is where we can do a lot of damage. When like karate, they use a lot of chopping motions. We have that in the form, right? Right? Where we don't move. But if you add the spine rotation, it can be very powerful with very little effort. I'm just going like that. So, the idea of this is your arm, your hand represents that. So, in punch, right? Just like in the form. In fact, they start because we're understanding our own body. The weapons just teach us what we already possess. So even when you attack and you're skimming into an opponent, you're actually using the blade of your arm. When you punch and you re-rep them and you skim through and you push through, push over the arm and you punch, right? You're using that same principle. So the idea of this is that we're going to take something from someone, we're going to take that force, is we're going to take here, and we're always going to cross. From the very beginning of the form, we're here, and we cross, right? Sometimes I do the palm. And that's a principle that's in the line and works against the line. Or if they attack here, right? They attack here. If I don't do anything, it just goes here. If I do this, it still can swing against me. But if I'm here, the line, see what happens to the line? Again, your palm strikes, your pak sao. Really, initially, the best pak sao to learn is this. Because here are my shoulders, right? If this person with his shoulders comes in to hit me here, typically they're going to aim here, right? Chin, here, maybe here, but generally they'll aim here. So as you come in to fight and that person throws a punch, just boom, use their energy. This, if your spine is right, this contact turns you. Now, where's my center? My line is here. My center is here. Center and line are two concepts brought together. There is no center line. Okay, yeah, they say it's this. No, there's no center line. Center line is the spine. Spine to spine becomes line. I can be in here and trade punches. I can transition. This is better for me. Position allows opportunity. Right? If I'm here, I don't have much opportunity. If I'm here, he can hit me, kick me, right? If I'm here, it minimizes opportunities and maximizes my own, right? So, position permits opportunity. Balance allows response. So I'm here and he takes me out balance. Can I respond effectively? No. So the second you touch, you should be taking balance immediately. And you should see that even when you do your wooden dummy form. And the subtlety of your energy. So you know Tansa is going to look the same because you're responding to their energy or their line. It should conform. If it doesn't conform, it bounces off. You hurt yourself, right? Instead, it's soft. You're hard when you strike. Yet, you're also relaxed and soft. So that your confirmation of energy, it can produce that energy where you want it to go. And you instantly conform to it and send it where you want. At the same time, you can take that energy, especially in like a lap sao, right? Never have your thumb here. Always here. A lap sao is a soft energy. Just like your pak sao is this, a lap is like a tentacle. And it's soft. If I'm hard with a lap, they're going to react to it, try to get out and say I'm soft. And I'm actually moving their line, feeding it back to their body. Right? The wu sao, all that. So, when we look at the concept, say if we want to disarm somebody. Again, your thumb is your grip, right? This has to do with disarming, right? So when somebody attacks, right? You control your center, so they go to attack. If I don't do anything, say I control my center, and then you disarm. And you feed that back. So if somebody goes here, and they feed it here, they take this way, back to me. Or this way, back to me. Always taking and sending that line beside it and crossing at the same time. If I had a person demonstrate, I could show you disarms with that. And show you just as simple how somebody much bigger than you can throw a punch, round punch, and you can come in just with a pak sao, just with a wu sao. But the second you make contact, you're feeding, as they push, it's just feeding the energy back, over their back to their spine. And you can just lay your hand there and they can't even move you. You just rest. And again, resting is about learning that position, that balance. You're here, whoa, you're here. Don't lean back, don't hunch forward, it's straight. Rising, erecting, like you have a ladder. And, ladders are compressing. You pull it out. Sitting, standing, rising, sinking. I always say take the sky, tie it here below you. Take the earth, tie it here, make a knot. So you have both. And then when you move, it'll be stable, but you're not going to be tense. You don't want to be, you want to be, just like you're sitting on a high stool and you can just rotate freely. The other aspect that people ignore is they think footwork is footwork. The footwork in Wing Chun has more to do with Okay, you frame, shoulder short, we're square. Now we're square, I'm framed. Now I react. I swivel, I shift. Frame first. My first movement isn't necessarily my foot, it's turning their spear. Like this. Here's their attack. Well, if I come in here and I attack straight on, I can produce force. But if he comes on the side of my line and turns me, now he can drive back. And my force only is added to his, and my structure is broken. Turning the spear. Everybody, in a way, when they run at you, it's like they have a spear. There's only so wide the spear goes, but it always ends up in the same place for the most part, the line. So you take that and you turn it just so slightly and then you drive. Because the second you're here, you control that, right, beside the line. Spine to spine becomes a line, the center line. Means I'm focused on him. My spine is aligned to his. It doesn't mean I'm here though. Okay, I can be here, that's still center line. I can be here, it's still center line. Center line, spine to spine, becomes a line. And I actually want to be soft with my contact, because if I'm soft, I can sense, I can manipulate energy. If I'm hard, there's not much control. It just feeds back. It's like when you punch and you keep your shoulder tense, see how it feeds back in the arm? But if you're soft and relaxed in your punch, you can send it through and let go, and it doesn't come back. And that way, even if the bag's coming back, like a lot of people, they come back and they come. The guy can run at you and you'll just stop him. And see, if you notice, I'm this way. If I'm here, like a boxer is, my force actually naturally is not going to feed to the target. It's going to go down to ground. Meaning we're grounding our own force, we're sending it down. I want my force to be aligned. See, I'm not here, I'm not here, I'm just straight. I'm not over the top. Some people are like this. No, I'm just straight. So that my force can vector into them like a wedge. Right? If you take this ball and you put it in the water, and you put your line here, like you're punching a ball, the softness of it's that water, that circle. You want it to continually move just so that line can't square. Okay? You want to be beside it, and then you have control. But when Chun uses the ball, the wedge and the ball, think of a conical hat. This is our line, and this is our wheel, right? Just like our hips have a wheel, and we have a wheel here, right? When we chiso. And this is our line. So at all times, we're like the ball and the wedge. The wedge is like a doorstop. Like our feet look like wedges. If somebody's bigger than me, I come in, just like a doorstep does, and I take their weight. So the more they push on me, the more weight I have. I can hold that weight. And as I move in, I take his weight and I defeat his force, his own mass, using that wedge concept. It's not the same as sending ground energy, where you're grounding. It's wedging. Okay? So think of that in a form. When you're here, think of his arm and you're taking that. Right? Remember that move, you got futsal, and you can take the center like this by driving in. Right? It's one of the moves in Wing Chun. So the futsal, right? Shoulder here. And the energy is spiraling, just like that. Oh. Controlling that line, controlling that center. Right? Tansao is for forward. The energy is forward. It spreads. It splits. So you drive forward. Long Sao is redirecting, angling. The best time to use a Long Sao is when the hat comes offline. Boom. Boom. And you can use your elbow, and first you accept energy. Right? Now it starts rolling this way, and you control. Elbows drive the line. Knees drive the line. They're also the weight of the body. go like this, boom, somebody falls. You pick somebody up by their elbows or by their knees. You can control somebody's mass or weight with the elbows. You can redirect and cause that rotational force, make your lines look like circles. So Wing Chun, everybody says, oh, it's direct. Yeah, it's direct, but it's also circular. It's just, it's hard to see that because most of Wing Chun is very hidden. Remember this part of the form where your arm goes here? It's making that line a circle. And the tighter it is, the more effective it will be, just like centrifugal force. You come in, boom. That's simple. As you tighten, you accelerate. And you return that force at a more direct path. But you still, just because Wing Chun is known as a line, you still don't feed it back directly down. You feed it back down to the butt, down to the base. You feed it all the way back and you feed it beside the line and around it. Here, top of my arm, to here. Here, top of my arm, down to here. Constantly crossing what they do to you. So as they attack, their force is just defeated, driven inward, driven back to them. So their power becomes yours. You control it. Softness is very important. When you, anybody can hit hard. Everybody's teaching you hit harder, hit harder, hit harder. You really know what you're doing when you can use their force alone, or as much of their force alone as possible. That's really the goal. Why get tired? Why waste energy? So if he comes in, I use this force, boom, down to the ground. It's all about lines. That's what this teaches you. And I'm always seeking to get to his base. And once I get his base, this is where that bypassing step is important. Just like the bypassing step is the same as this hand in the form. If his hand's here and I want to get around, right? I'm bypassing the line, and it's mine now. As he drives, look. See, not only does he drive, when he goes this way, I can now drop. The key to adding the weight is really your knees and your elbows. So now, boom, you just drive him down. He's here. You break the structure, just like when you go here, you are bypassing the knee. Right? There's a line here, and there's a line here. So instead of going boom, clashing knees, what you're really doing is, here comes a punch, frame, I react, change this line, I turn this spear, I drive in. When you drive in, that's when your footwork comes into play. When you do a throw, you're not actually going like this, like kicking your leg out like you do with sweeps. You're literally taking your base where his is, moving. If my base is where he is, he cannot stand. Especially the wedging right here. Then you move and they just fall. Not to show that with a volunteer, eventually, to understand that. So really, you should win upon contact. It's like here, I know, I can already tell what he's going to do. If it's leg, I can feel it. And then now I control. I maintain contact. Edmond said, rush in upon loss of contact. I want his center, his base. I want to control it. Don't let it go once I have it to you. They're down on the ground. Again, space is a waste, so invade the base. And you can stand here with a form, right? Like they teach you, but in reality, most of my fights, I would go like this, and I knew what they would hit. And as they went, boom, and boom, boom, boom. Whatever I'm doing, I'm inviting a reaction, I'm invading them. I know that their shoulders are here. I know that their attacks have to come from certain angles. So as they come in, right? Or you can do Hoxal. Remember that in the form? So as it comes in, here's his fist, punch. It's around, remember back like that, not this, right? And I don't want him sensing it. I don't want to, does anyone want to push against it? If he can't sense it, he's not going to react. So he throws a punch, boom, and, right, just so simple. That spine rotation, which gives you a lot of power and force, and the steering while you're hit. You want to take power both horizontally and vertically, and rotationally. Spine. Right? Which I'm not standing correctly, but I'm not moving by moving my feet. I'm moving by steering the wheel, by rotational energy. There's a ride at a amusement park where you sit on a cart and it's going around and you turn the wheel, and as you turn the wheel, you start spinning around, cause all this force, and you're turning the wheel. That's what you were doing. You're turning your horse. And actually, old horsemen used to use their knees to turn the horse. And it's stable. Even if you're one leg, it still should be stable. You still should be not off balance, not this. You should know your center and be able to sink it. So even if someone comes against you, right, you don't move, okay? And a lot of that is understanding how to get your spine straight, how to rest and set like you're in a harness, right? So as I tilt, I'm not tilting. I'm not going like this, I'm settling. I'm not going like this, I'm settling. So now I'm stable. And you can absorb your shoulders. They hang, they absorb. Don't go like this. You're taking a shirt off a hanger, it falls off. It hangs. And your power really comes from really your rotation, right? And your line, piston, straight, rotation. But if I send it here, it doesn't do anything, it just skips off. I can send it to the center of the bag. Just simple, right? That was incorrect. If you look, I was leaning back, right? I should be here. So when that's not, it just stops. If I'm wrong, that's what a lot of people do. Or even if they're here, it still defeats the purpose, because as I come in, it's sending my force there as I hit. It's taking it and rounding off and still rocking me back. Whereas if you're here and you feel that, like a lot of people with a hook punch, it's more, that's all they're doing. It's a lot like Chun, you're spinning. But instead of using the footwork, you can just trigger. That's what you're learning in the second form, is starting to control your centrifugal, your spine energy. You can see some of the spine energy in the form where you're here, right? Right, or one at a time. And some of that's your spine energy. You're learning how to sit in your stance, and somebody grabs behind you, goes around behind you, boom. You don't go anywhere. And you get enough space, then you can rotate, right? All these things have, my power here is to everything being relaxed and hanging. I'm not it's just relaxed, hanging. You make contact. And part of the power is just like that. Your elbows forward. I can react to anything elbows forward. If I'm here, I lose, I'm open. If I'm here, my elbows stay, that immovable elbow. So if he punches with a roundhouse, right? Roundhouse, whoop, and I send the energy over, simple pops out. You aim these points, it's gonna hurt. So I'm here, I have my force, right? A lot of that power, I'm not really moving my elbow. But if I'm connected and I do everything, and I rotate that tiny bit where my knee does that force, right? Making a line. And that stance for here, it's the same idea when you're punching. See? You're just connecting. But you don't have to wait to connect. You don't have to move in. You just let your hand cast forward. That's speed. So I do one thing where I show people when they hold up the hand and make this movement, if they can stop it or if they can't stop it. If you're settled and relaxed, it can't get a read on your shoulders. It just comes, you can't see it. Instead of, the idea is to be relaxed within, and the body relax, but still in a way within, yet focused. Hopefully that helps.